Hello everybody, RoyalRapids here, and welcome to the next installment in the series of mono-type Hardcore Nuzlockes, as we head down to the Johto region to see if we can take on Pokemon Heart Gold using only ground types. Now for our list of available encounters, I'll put them right up on screen for you guys. We have a pretty wide variety of Pokemon to choose from, as well as many subtypes we can get besides our ground types, such as Ice, flying, and many other subtypes. Now, for the rules and how I run these Nuzlockes, I'll put the information in the description below, but to sum it up, if a Pokemon faints, it is permanently boxed and considered dead. It is no longer allowed to be used. I'm only allowed to catch the first ground-type encounter on each route. Now, as you may know, there are maybe multiple routes you can find a ground type. Like, I know off the top of my head, you can find Geodude and Onix in a few different places. So I use Species Clause to eliminate that possibility, meaning if, let's say, I catch a Geodude earlier in the game, and then I find a route later on which has Geodude and Sandshrew, I'm allowed to ignore the Geodude encounters and go pick up the Sandshrew instead. Now, if you are familiar with my channel, you know the last time I attempted a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Heart Gold, I unfortunately failed, as I could not beat Lance without using items, which, as you know, is very much against the rules of the Hardcore Nuzlocke. You cannot use items in battle. And the final rule of the Hardcore Nuzlocke is that I have to nickname my Pokemon accordingly, and I also have to meet a level cap. As you can see on screen, for the first gym is 13, because that happens to be the level of Falkner's Pidgeotto. Now, on to picking our starter. It really doesn't matter. I like to go with Totodile just for the fact that it can be a good HM slave later before running into our first encounter, a Geodude. As you know, Geodude is a rock and ground type, and we name it Copper and add it to the squad. Next up, only at night, we can run into a Wooper, a water and ground type, which will be very good for us, being able to get attacks that are good against rock types and ground types, because despite us being a ground type, you mostly have normal and rock moves at this point. Although you'd think the Sprout Tower would be very difficult for our rock type Geodude and water ground type Wooper, they're very low level and do very little damage to Geodude with his high defense, and this one here keeps going for growth, so we're able to just tackle our way through all the Bellsprouts and earn us a relatively painless victory over the Sprout Tower. I thought this place was going to be far more difficult, but ironically enough, the Hoot, the Pokemon that's weak to rock, gives us the most trouble as it puts us to sleep. However, it just goes for Peck, which is 1 damage each and a growl, and we one-shot it with a rock throw, before taking on Falkner, the flying type leader who specializes in, of course, flying type, as I just said. And as I said earlier, we have a rock type. As one rock throw takes out the Pidgey, in comes the much stronger Pidgeotto, who hits a soft gust, almost goes down to a rock throw, hits a second soft gust, and Copper, with a sweep, earns us our first of the 8 Johto gym badges. Heading over to a town in Violet City, we're able to catch a Bellsprout we caught for a quote-unquote cut, and trade it for an Onix here, who's named Rocky. But using my super special Nintendo DS, I changed his name to Aluminum to fit the naming scheme better. Over in the Union Cave, we had our next encounter, a Sandshrew. It's pretty good. We get 4 encounters before the second gym, and although Sandshrews plagued by an awful moveset, it's still a decent Pokemon to have, and I always welcome more team members this early in the game. Over in the Slowpoke Wheel, we take on Executive Proton, and we lead with Aluminum the Onix, who's low-key busted this early in the game. Plus, it gains experience double since it's a traded Pokemon, so a couple of rock throws take care of the Zubat, leading into Coughing, who unfortunately poisons our good friend Onix. We decided to switch into Bauxite. The Wooper, who takes the poison gas, gets poisoned, but does not care one bit as he keeps laying in water guns into this Coughing, tanking tackles like nobody's business, and finishing off Executive Proton without any casualties. Leading into our second gym fight with a Bug-type user, Bugsy. Bugsy leads with a Scyther, which is extremely dangerous, but fortunately for us, we have 2 rock types who are 4 times super effective against the Bug and Flying type Scyther. He goes for a Focus Energy, and a second rock throw finishes him off very painlessly, leading into Metapod. This thing can do absolutely nothing to either of our rock types, so Onix just stays in and wipes him with 2 more rock throws, leading into Kakuna, who suffers the same fate after hitting an extremely soft Poison Sting, earning us a very painless second Johto gym badge. Normal type run did not go nearly that well, so I'm feeling very good so far. And right after the gym, we have to fate our good old rival, Silver, here. As he leads up with Ghastly, we lead up with Copper. Copper here goes for a Rock Polish to raise its speed, you'll see why in a little bit, and hits a pretty hard rock throw into the Ghastly's face to take it out. And unfortunately, I'm forced to go for a self-destruct, sacrificing Copper. After making theories for this battle for a very long time, I didn't see a way that we could get through that Bayleaf without losing at least 2 or 3 Pokemon, if not wiping most of the time. So rock polishing to boost Geodude's speed and then exploding was the best way I could guarantee a win in that fight. And as we're able to get other rock ground types down the line, I'm not too worried about losing Geodude. After Wooper hits a few water guns in the Zubat's face, Zinc finishes it off with a nice Swift, beating rival Silver once and for all, leading with what many consider to be one of the hardest battles in Pokemon history, a battle versus Whitney here, and her at Clefairy and later on in Miltank. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this here. This is not an interesting fight. I really don't have much I can do in terms of reliable damage to this Clefairy, so I just lower its accuracy, poison it with Poison Sting, and attempt to do the same thing to Miltank here. Unfortunately, Miltank has a Lum Berry, so I'm forced to poison it twice, and after hitting a bunch of Fury Swipes and chipping it down with poison damage, I bring in Aluminum, who can tank pretty much any hit Miltank can throw at it. But unfortunately here, Whitney has Super Potion, since she's not playing a Hardcore Nuzlocke, so finally we bring in Bauxite, and he does enough damage to get the win. After quickly evolving Bauxite into a Quagsire, we run into our next encounter, a Nidoran female, who might be a pure poison type now, but when fully evolved will be a poison and ground type Nidoqueen. After throwing a Pokeball, we add it to the team and nickname it Diamond to replace our fallen comrade Copper. After quickly evolving it into a Nidorina and picking up a Moonstone from the Pokeathlon, which happened to be available that day, we get a fully evolved Nidoqueen and add it to the squad instantly. After taking on the Sudowoodo here, I decided to try out our new Nidoqueen Diamond, and he goes for one dig, eviscerating the Sudowoodo, proving that we got a very valuable team member. Once again, it's time to take on Silver here in the Burn Tower, and he might be a little bit harder this time, maybe a little bit easier. We lead up with Bauxite here, as Ghastly goes for Curse. A Water Gun almost takes it out, as he withdraws Ghastly and brings in Bayleaf, who's 4 times super effective against Bauxite. Obviously, Bauxite's dead here, so I switched into our Poison-type Diamond, as Bayleaf just goes for Synthesis. Good reads here by Silver. As we go for a Poison Sting, it doesn't do a whole lot. And although it goes for Reflect, we go for a special Fire Blast, which could not quite take it out, but another Poison Sting gets the poison, and the poison damage finishes off Bayleaf. In comes Zubat here, who's not super threatening, so we bring in Aluminum, who's super effective against him, and we break through Confusion, hit a Rock Throw, which is a little bit more than half. We break out of Confusion the next time, and one more Rock Throw gets the job done. Leading into Ghastly, who has a Sliver left, a Rock Throw finishes him off, and that just leaves the lowly Magnemite, who, although it's a Steel type, we're doing decent damage to it with Rock Throw, and we can take a Sonic Boom here since there's a fixed 30 damage. Unfortunately, we can't take one more since we're down to 21 HP, so we like to switch back into Bauxite, the ground type. Well, obviously, we're all ground types, but the water ground type. And one more Mud Shot finishes off the Magnemite, and we have once again defeated rival Silver, this time without any casualties, which I'm pretty happy about because this Bayleaf's difficult to deal with. After evolving Zinc into a Sandslash, we take on the Ghost Gym Leader, Morty, for our 4th Johto Gym Badge. As he leaves off with Ghastly, we leave with Zinc. Unfortunately here, Zinc doesn't really have a whole lot it can do in terms of damage, besides Rollout. As you know, Rollout increases with power every time you use it, and on the 4th Rollout, we're able to take out this Gengar, leading into just Haunter, and as you know, the 5th Rollout is always the most powerful, but Haunter puts us to sleep. Fortunately for us, the worst is behind us as he goes for a G-Meter into an Awake Onyx Aluminum, but he puts Aluminum to sleep with a Hypnosis. You think Hypnosis would have 100% accuracy with the way he's been using it in this fight. After turning 2 Dream Meters into Aluminum, I'm not really able to do anything more with them, but luckily I set up a Sandstorm which boosts our special defense. Diamond comes in here on a Dream Meter as he goes for Curse, and one more Fire Blast finishes off the Haunter. Although Diamond here is on a timer as Curse damage does do quite a bit of damage, but one more Fire Blast brings him well below half. I'm able to switch into a healthy Bauxite who gets Mean Looked, which does not matter as a weak Nightshade runs into him and he hits one more Surf, earning us the 4th Gym Badge. Back-to-back gym fights here. We take on the fighting leader Chuck as our level cap raises to only 31. Chuck leads with a Primeape and we lead with Diamond. Diamond goes for a double team here, and a Body Slam does a little bit less than half, which you take a really weak Rock Slide, which only does 10 damage. One more Body Slam brings him pretty low as another weak Rock Slide connects, and we keep missing Body Slams over and over again. He managed to do quite a bit of decent damage with Rock Slide before we finally take him out with a Body Slam, leading into Poliwrath. Now we dig to avoid the Surf, and it does maybe less than a third. As you know, we can live one more attack, so go for one more dig. His Citrus Berry heals him up, but Poison Point activates, which is huge. Unfortunately, Diamond is too low here, so we switch in Bauxite, who takes a Surf. Not as well as I would hope. Unfortunately, he doesn't have Water Absorb here. But as Poliwrath keeps going for Focus Punch, as long as we hit an attack, Poliwrath can't hurt us. And we keep lowering its speed with Mud Shot. As we try to lower it with Mud Bomb, unfortunately, we don't get it here, and Bauxite unfortunately gets paralyzed. Zinc comes in and gets instantly paralyzed too. We hit a Crush Claw and the poison damage finishes off Poliwrath, earning us the badge. Running to the red Gyarados here. This battle ended up being a lot more hard than I wanted it to be, as I keep trying to run with Bauxite and then realize, wait, I literally can't run with Bauxite. He's too slow. One more bite from Gyarados would have done us in. which if you got a crit, that is. We go to yawn it, and we like to switch into someone else. Now, none of our team members can take a water-type attack, but he fortunately just goes for Leer, goes to sleep, and Diamond's able to run. But hey, behind him, we pick up the Choice Specs, a really OP item, as well as the TM for Thief, which we're going to use to thief off a Metal Coat a little bit later. Over in the Rocket hideout, we're taking on Rocket Admin Petrol, the purple-hair man, as he leads with a Zubat. And we leave our trusty Onyx Aluminum, who one-shots it with a Rock Throw. In comes Coughing, a Rock Throw does more than half, that was because of a crit. A second Rock Throw doesn't even do a third, but a Headbutt finishes off the Coughing, leading into his Eradicate. A Headbutt does about a third, another Headbutt does about another third, and a third Headbutt does a final third, finishing off the Eradicate and getting us the win over Rocket Executive Petrol, leading into one of the game's more difficult fights, technically, if you think about it, as we have to take on a double battle with Ariana and also a Team Rocket Grunt. Now, fortunately for us, Lance has a level 40 pseudo-legendary on our side, which, although, yes, illegal, is ridiculously overpowered as she has a level 25 Arbok. So, although AI double battles do tend to be hard in Pokemon, I really can't complain about this one because you get such an overpowered teammate. He has 15 levels higher than the Rocket Executive's Ace, and also is a pseudo legendary with a base 600 base stat total. As Bauxite is basically along for the ride, as Dragonite's able to pretty much do all the heavy lifting. Bauxite just hitting Surf, which does nothing into Dragonite and is doing decent damage to the other Pokemon, and Dragonite's one-shotting everything with Fly and Thunder. After Murkrow hits a relatively weak Nightshade, Dragonite goes for a Fly, takes out the Murkrow, and we have one more Pokemon remaining, that being Gloom. Now that Zink's low, I don't want to risk him, so I bring in Diamond. Diamond takes a relatively weak Mega Drain before just going for Rock Smash, which didn't matter, and one Fly from the Dragonite finishes off the Team Rocket double battle and earning us the victory over the Mahogany hideout. After we keep thieving off Magnemites, eventually we finally get a Metal Coat, which we use our totally 100% legit Nintendo DS to trade Aluminum again to get a Steelix. Another subtype, Steel, leading into our 6th Gym Leader battle versus the traditional 7th Gym Leader Price. I've done a Hardcore Nuzlocke before. You do know that Price's level cap is lower than Jasmine's, although Jasmine is the traditional 6th gym leader. You want to take on Price before, because his level cap's 34, while Jasmine's is 35. I keep trying to set up a Sandstorm here with Aluminum so that we get the special defense boost, and the Sandstorm actually comes in really clutch here as it manages to finish off the Seal before Piloswine comes in. We go for a Squeech and then manage to set up another Sandstorm, as we don't want the Hail buffeting our Pokemon, but we don't actually manage to get one off, unfortunately. A Blizzard does pretty good damage into Bauxite. However, I know that I can take one more non-crit, hang on with 13 HP, and take out the Piloswine with a Surf, leading into Dugong. Bauxite hangs on for dear life with 6 HP, and I know I have to switch as I bring in Zink. Zink gets hit with an Ice Shard, which doesn't do very much damage at all as we go for a Sand Attack, and Aurora Beam brings him low, and a crit obviously would have killed there, so we're forced to switch into Diamond. Diamond doesn't take an Ice Shard super well, but a Specs boosted Thunder almost kills Dugong. Knowing I'm dead to crit here, I'm forced to stay in, and we hit a Thunder, which we get a high roll, and we finish off Gym Leader Price. After heading over to the Lighthouse, we heal Amphi, and that'll earn us the right to take on the now 7th Gym Leader, Jasmine, the Steel-type Specialist. I don't know about you guys, but I personally never find Jasmine hard, as she has only 3 Pokemon, 2 of which are relatively weak Magnemites. A Specs boosted Surf takes out the Magnemite, takes out the Steelix, and wouldn't you guess it, one more time, another Surf takes out the Magnemite. Wow, what a hard gym battle. That was excruciating. I almost wiped 700 times against that. After running into Eugene here, he decides to battle me, and as you know, if you ask the normal type Heart Gold Hardcore Nuzlocke, I stupidly lost my Girafarig here because he was under-leveled against Eugene's Electrode. A couple of Surfs on Bauxite take out his first 2 members, leading in to the very, very super evil Electrode. I'm so worried about that with a team of ground types, as you can tell, because Electrode is so known for its wide move pool that destroys ground types. Even though I'm cursed, I say and hit a Surf against it, and wouldn't you know it, one-shot. Over in the Safari Zone, or to be more specific, Route 47, we're into a Diglett, which is close to its evolution level, and we get ourselves a Doug Trio before heading to the Rocket hideout in Goldenrod and taking on Petrol one more time. Now, normally this fight would be relatively difficult, as all of his coughings and wheezings have Explosion, but this is the one time in my life that I'm glad that I have a Quagsire with Damp instead of Water Absorb. His Damp mitigates the effects of, Self-Destruct or Explosion, and these coughings can't do anything to me, as the Choice Specs boosted Surf once again takes out a 3rd victim in a row. First it was Jasmine, then it was Eugene, now it's Petrol. As the Choice Specs do sometimes make these runs almost trivial, and I find it funny that they give them to you so early in the game. Anyways, out in the Goldenrod hideout once again, we take on our rival Silver, who finally evolves his Zubat into a Golbat here. After taking an Air Cutter, we hit a Thunder into the Golbat, which doesn't do a whole lot due to the relatively low special attack on Nidoqueen, but a Body Slam gets the job done. As you know, Sneasel kind of sucks, and it goes down to a single weak double kick, because Sneasel's 4 times weak to fighting, leading into Meganium. As it goes for a Reflect, we hit a Body Slam, we get a Lucky Paralysis. as we go for a dig for some reason, which I thought was going to do damage. A Petal Dance does quite a bit of damage to us here, so we're forced to switch into our good friend Aluminum here, the Steelix, who I think can take one more non-crit. So I go for a Headbutt, and I was right, taking down with 23 HP. Knowing that Meganium's confused here, I have to risk it. I stay in. He gets paralyzed and hits himself in confusion, allowing us to finish him off with 2 more Headbites, leading into Haunter. We go into Bauxite, who takes a Shadow Ball relatively well before getting mean looked in, and a Surf one-shots the Haunter due to its relatively low defenses, leading into Magnemite, who suffers the same fate, as Bauxite's low-key carrying this run. Now it's time for the Rocket Admin Onslaught as we take on Executive Proton. We lead with Diamond, and I go for a Body Slam, which is a little bit, looks like a little less than half. And one more Body Slam gets the job done, leading into Weezing. Now, just in case this thing has Explosion, I like to switch over into Bauxite, who has the Damp ability, as it just goes for a Smoke Screen. A Sludge does almost no damage, and a Surf one-shots the Weezing. Now it's time to take on Executive Ariana, who leads with her trusty Arbok, which is now level 32. But our level 38 Nidoqueen one-shots it with Dig, leading into Murkrow. Now, Murkrow can't really do a whole lot into any of our team, especially Steelix, but I forgot that it had Nightshade, which will do a fixed 32 hit points of damage due to its level being level 32. Since I have 46 HP of damage left, I can guarantee a win and one-shot it with a Rock Throw, leading into a Vileplume, who obviously would do pretty big damage to most of our team besides Diamond here, who has the Poison type. After taking a pretty weak couple Mega Drains, a couple Body Slams will get the job done. Despite a Sleep Powder here, we know that it can't do anything to us, it just keeps going for Sweet Scent and Mega Drain, one that does no damage, one that does very minimal damage, but it actually gets a pretty good amount of luck with Sleep Hacks. Eventually, through War of Attrition, we finish it off with a few Body Slams, leading to the penultimate Team Rocket fight. Archer. Now, this guy, I think he actually is in Pokemon Fire Red. If you have not watched the Pokemon Fire Red 1,000-hour challenge, 100-hour challenge, I mean, not 1,000 hours, would have been terrible, then watch it. The reason I'm not commenting over this fight, though, is because we have the choice specs and we have a water type. And this man has Coughings, a Houndour, and a Houndoom, which all go down in one Surf each very easily, defeating the Team Rocket subplot of the game. Over in Ice Path, we get our next team member, a Swinub, who gets us a very nice Ice subtyping, if you know what gym is coming up next. Over in Blackthorn, though, we get the move relearner, so we're able to teach our Pokemon some moves that they may have, you know, not been able to learn before, as they would learn it before their evolution level and stuff like that. I go through all of my team members and rearrange their movesets before running into one of our final encounters, a Gligar, who we try to capture here on the route south of Blackstone City. It actually is pretty difficult to capture here, but after a few Ultra Balls, we finally get it, add it to the team, and nickname it Pyrite, as it'll stick in the box for now, but it'll have its use later. Now, once and for all, it's time to take on the Dragon Leader, Claire, who leads after the Pokemon that's not a Dragon, a Gyarados here. We have an Aluminum here as our best option, going for a Sandstorm, which will raise our special defense. After going for a Thunder Fang, which is a good amount of damage here, taking a Dragon Rage with 4 HP, as it always does fixed 40 damage, and taking out the Gyarados, leading into the big hitter, Kingdra. Now, this Kingdra is dangerous for a multitude of reasons. One is that it's a very powerful Pokemon, and two is that it's a Water type, and none of our Pokemon here have any resistance to Water type whatsoever, if only Bauxite had Water Absorb. Unfortunately for Kingdra here, it couldn't quite take out Bauxite, who's still the MVP of this run, hangs on and hits a clutch Yawn. Unfortunately, Zinc switches in and goes down to a crit Dragon Pulse, as it's now our second casualty of the run. We bring in Diamond here with a Thunder, which is a little less than half. Kingdra wakes up, misses an attack, and we get a very lucky crit Thunder to take out the Kingdra. In comes our Dragonair, and in comes our newly acquired Mamoswine, who is of course an Ice type. After taking a couple Aqua Tails, we had an Ice Fang in its face, taking out the Dragonair, leading into our second Dragonair. But I know I'll outspeed, and one more Ice Fang takes out our second Dragonair, soonly earning us the 8th and final Johto Gym Badge. Now we have to obviously go to the Dragon's Den to earn ourselves the Gym Badge, but for all intents and purposes, we are now on our way to take on the Elite Four, but not before we take on the secret Elite Five here, the stupid Kimono girls. Who, if you know anything about Johto Nuzlocke, these guys can be run enders. They are extremely difficult. You have to fight them 5 of them in a row. Obviously, they only have one Pokemon, but it sucks. You can't change your lead. And as you can see here, I'm not going to spoil it yet, but we are going to have one casualty here. Unfortunately, we go for Earthquake against Flareon as it burns us. We really take that out inconsequentially. As you can see here, Jolteon sets up Double Team just to be annoying, but Sulfur manages to take it out, and in comes Vaporeon. Now, as you know, Water types suck against us, and a Specs boosted Thunder is enough to take out the Vaporeon as we lose our Nidoqueen. Unfortunate, but hey, we have a Nidoking in the box as we add Cole to the team, and we get a relatively inconsequential death there as we replace a Nidoqueen with a Nidoking. A defense for some offense. At the end of the day, I think it's just about an even switch. We had to take out Ho-Oh here because we have a Water type, then I realized we can't do that, so I just run away before running into our final encounter of the run, a Donphan and Victory Road. It was between Donphan and Rhydon. I wouldn't have minded either one, but we got Donphan, and I'm fine with that. Now, it's time for our final fight with our rival Silver. He just Sneasel Wheelie with Cole. Cole here goes for a Poison Jab and it one-shots the Sneasel due to its terrible defense. Kadabra suffers the same fate as he brings in Meganium, who also takes a Poison Jab and goes down in one hit. Cole is an absolute monster as we bring in Haunter here. Haunter, unfortunately for us, resists poison and is immune to ground as it goes for a curse. We bring in Aluminum here. Aluminum gets mean looked in, but a Rock Throw doesn't quite kill the Haunter. After it goes for a Shadow Ball, we take it out with one more Rock Throw, but Aluminum goes down to the curse. Unfortunate death here as we lose our now 4th casualty of the run right before the Elite Four. In comes Golbat, we bring in Bauxite, a Surf does more than half, we tank 2 Air Cutters like nobody's business and finish off the Golbat, leading into his Magneton, who obviously weak to ground, 4 times weak to it at that, and goes down to a single Earthquake. Now, looking at the 6 we're going to bring into the Elite Four one final time. Donphan, Quagsire, Nidoking, Gligar, Dugtrio, and Mamoswine before we take on Elite Four Will, the Psychic user. He leads off with the Flying type Xatu, and we one-shot it with a super effective Ice Fang, leading into his Slowbro. Now, the Slowbro here is very, very defensive and likes to go for a Curse to boost its defenses even more. But we bring in our good friend Bauxite here, once again the team MVP, who tanks the Psychic and goes for an Amnesia here, which basically makes Slowbro unable to damage it. Luckily for us, Slowbro goes to sleep and we're able to get in Pyrite, who's able to go for a Swords Dance as it wakes up, goes for a useless Amnesia, twice at that, and we're able to get the +4, allowing X-Scissor to almost be able to 2-hit KO. Unfortunately for us, that does not happen, and Will's able to heal here. But we go for a 6 Swords Dance, so we knew he was in a heal. This time that'll allow X-Scissor theoretically to do more than half, but that's not the case as we get a bad range. A Water Pulse brings us low, but a 3rd X-Scissor takes out the Slowbro, leading into Jinx. Knowing I'm dead here to anything with Pyrite, I switch out back into Sulfur, takes an Ice Punch like nobody's business, goes for an Earthquake, and one-shots the Jinx with a critical hit that most likely did not matter, leading into the Grass-type Executor, who's once again weak to Ice and almost goes down in 1, sets up a Reflect, but doesn't matter as one more gets the job done, bringing in his 2nd and final Xatu. Due to the Reflect, Ice Fang only does about half, and his Citrus Berry brings him well above half, and he confuses us. Sulfur hits himself in Confusion, so we're forced to switch here as we're too low and could risk hitting ourselves in Confusion, so we bring in Cole. Cole almost dies to a Psychic, and I realize I'm stupid. Why would I switch in a Poison type against a Psychic user? But we're coming to my senses, bringing in Quartz, taking a Psychic, and going for a Thunder Fang, which takes out the Xatu, earning us the win. Unfortunately, I lost the footage for the Elite Four battle against Koga, and I hate to say that, but if you don't believe me, I guess you don't believe me. Just know that Cole and Sulfur carried the fight. Anyways, we can only go with what we do have here as we take on Bruno. His Hitmontop goes for a Dig, and an Earthquake obviously does double damage underground as we take out our good friend Hitmontop with one single Earthquake. In comes Hitmonlee, we break out of Confusion and get the Swagger boost to our attack, one-shotting it, bringing in Machamp. We take a Cross Chop like nobody's business, and an Earthquake almost one-shots the Machamp, but heals up with a Citrus Berry. Knowing we're dead to any attack here, we're forced to switch. I'm going to switch into Pyrite, who we know can resist the Cross Chop, leading in to us to go for a U-turn for chip damage for whatever reason. That was kind of a weird play, but getting in Cole. And as if you know anything about Pokemon, you know Nidoking is an absolute god. One-shotting the Machamp with a critical hit Poison Jab, leading into Onix, who goes down to a single Earthquake, finally bringing in Hitmonchan. Now, Hitmonchan has Ice Punch here, which is relatively dangerous to most of our Pokemon, except for Sulfur. And knowing that Sulfur is weak to Fire Punch, I knew I could at least take one, and I take one very, very well. I wouldn't have even been dead to crit there. And after a couple Earthquakes, we take out the Hitmonchan, earning us our win over the 3rd Elite Four member Bruno, leading into the 4th and final Elite Four member Karen, the Dark-type user. Now, in the normal type run, Karen was actually relatively difficult for me. But here, I come in with Pyrite, set up a few Swords Dances on the Umbreon, and keeps going for double team, which is very annoying, but a single X-Scissor finishes off the Umbreon, leading into Houndoom. Now, realizing I'm probably dead here to mostly anything Houndoom would do to me, I take a Flamethrower, not very well at all, but a U-turn does pretty big damage as we bring in Bauxite. Bauxite does not flinch to the Dark Pulse, and a single Surf finishes off Houndoom, leading into Vileplume. We know he's going to go for a Grass move here as Bauxite's 4 times weak to it, and I stupidly switch in Calcium for some reason, which goes down in one hit. Dumbest play of the run. I don't remember if that was a misclick or if that was actually genuine of me, but that was very stupid. As we bring in Sulfur and manage to get the one-hit KO, at least leading into Gengar. Now, this Gengar is pretty tough. It has Focus Blast, and as you know from the normal type run, it has a tendency to hit Focus Blast because it's an AI Pokemon, as you can see here. It does over half to our Donphan here, but it misses the 2nd time, goes for a Spite, and 2 Assurances get the job done, just leaving Murkrow. Now, our good old Donphan here has Thunderfang, and a single one of those finishes off Karen, leaving only one final task in our way. The battle versus the Dragon-type champion, Lance. Now, as you know, last time we didn't beat Lance legit. Let's try to see if we can rectify ourselves here. He leads with Gyarados, we lead with Quartz. As we take a Waterfall, not so well at all, and unfortunately Quartz should have gone down here, but as an absolute champ, hangs on and finishes off the Gyarados with one more Thunderfang. Unfortunately here, it has to go into Dragonite to get a clean switch into Bauxite. Now, what Bauxite's job here is to do is hit a Blizzard in its face. I'm going to try to see how many Blizzards I can get with Bauxite off before I'm forced to go into Sulfur. Unfortunately for us, we hit our first one-shotting the Dragonite leading into the second, but Bauxite, the MVP, goes down here to an Outrage, getting a clean switch into Sulfur, who takes out the second Dragonite with a single super effective Stab Ice Beam, or Ice Fang for that matter. We stand against a Fire Fang and a single 4x effective Ancient Power takes out the Charizard, leading into Dragonite. It misses the Dragon Rush, and Ice Fang takes out Dragonite. As Sulfur goes to level 49, in comes Aerodactyl. It's also 4 times weak. We flinch to Rock Slide, go for an Ice Shard to do some damage. We almost go down to a Crunch. We don't. Sulfur hangs on, hits one more Ice Shard, and just like that, we have completed a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Heart Gold using only ground types. If only you guys knew how much it meant to me that I could finally Nuzlocke this game legitimately. Last time it really hurt that with normal types I had so many poor misplays, lost a lot of Pokemon for stupid reasons, despite having a very wide amount of Pokemon to choose from. And here I'm very glad I was able to manage my team properly, although yes, we had 7 deaths. I think we played most of the run very well, and we got ourselves the win. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you guys for all the recent support on my recent videos. I've gained like 50 subscribers in the last week, and like another like 2,500 views on the Fire Red 100-hour challenge. So if you guys enjoyed that, I hope you enjoyed this too. And once again, I am always open to suggestions. I'm always open to ways I can improve my content. And I hope you guys can give me feedback in that way. If you don't like Hardcore Nuzlocke, let me know. If you want to see another 100-hour challenge, let me know. If you want to see a different game like Minecraft, Mario, I don't know. If you want to see something else, please let me know. I would be nothing if no one was watching my content. At the end of the day, you make content for people to watch. So if you guys like it, please subscribe, please leave a like, and I'll see you guys in whatever comes next. Thank you very much.